Hi, I'm Naomi Hall, and I want to welcome you to Mindset Makeover Finding Your Power Through Fitness, Nutrition, and Community. My whole purpose in this summit is that we so often know what to do, and we even feel like we're doing all the right things, but we don't feel our best and we don't feel healthy, and we're not achieving those goals that we have of sometimes it is looking good, but a lot of times it's about feeling good and achieving those goals. And sometimes we really struggle to get there. And mindset and community are big pieces of that. So today I have with me Katie Tomaszewski, and she is a passionate advocate for holistic health and transformative wellness with a BS in health sciences and certifications as a Pilates teacher and prenatal postnatal Pilates specialist and language of breathworker. Katie empowers individuals to achieve well-being goals. In 2018, she launched the DryNamics 90-day sobriety challenge, which we will come back to. And she pioneered transformative coaching using the powerful tools of temporary sobriety and community. Katie provides virtual coaching and Pilates globally and is a faculty member of the Language of Breath School. And as the founder of Deep Line Health Company, Katie inspires wellness journeys with compassion and results. So welcome, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Naomi.
I'm excited to talk about this because we've been talking about health and fitness and nutrition and mindset from different aspects with each person who's been on here, each expert. And you have another way of looking at it as you have this program called DryNamics. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So mindset is everything, right? I love that this is the subject of we can have all of the information. We can know all the steps. We can have the plan. And sometimes we just get a little bit paused there and we don't know how to go further with it. And in my experience, I was always drawn to fitness, and I shouldn't say always, but in my 30s, I became drawn to fitness and I became a Pilates teacher and was doing all the things, but I also wanted to be a business owner. And I could not seem to get past that planning stage and that idea stage. And I found that I was spending my weekends with a lot of alcohol and then playing catch up all week. So I took a break from alcohol, and that started me to take on taking more breaks. And my clients were very concerned about what I was doing. And then they became curious. And so I started my first DryNamics group in 2019, and I'm coming up on my 10th group this January. And we spend, there's a couple different levels of it, but the classic program is 90 days, just challenging ourselves with the tool of sobriety. So whether or not you're deciding to be sober for the rest of your life, if you are a drinker and you remove alcohol, you'll be amazed at what takes its place. So it's sort of this secret power pack that can be used to boost you into the direction that you're going. And we use a lot of mindset, a lot of meditation, breath work, all of these nervous system regulating elements that are absolutely necessary for any endeavor that you're trying to do to better yourself. So it's kind of, it feels like an extreme tool, but we make it a lot of fun, and people, it's life-changing. Some folks use it as a tool and they're happy to have that tool to check in with, and other folks decide, hey, I'm better off without it. And so that's sort of up to them. And
Wow,
that's DryNamics.
that's really cool. I love you said you're surprised by what takes its place. So can
Yeah,
we dig into that a little bit? Like
for
what goes
sure.
on and what people experience when they do take this challenge?
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody that I know is very busy. I
Mhm.
don't find a lot of people in midlife who have tons of free time. And the interesting thing is, as soon as we take away alcohol, people become very bored. That's the first, the first thing that happens, because there's an element of chaos and tasks when we're inactively enjoying alcohol. There's the purchasing, there's the cleaning up, there's the extra couple hours at a social event. Instead of popping in for 2 hours, it's 2 a.m. when you leave, and things like that. So the time does get eaten away a lot faster when you're a drinker. And when people take away alcohol, all of a sudden their 2-day weekend feels like 3 or 4 days. And they're like, I got everything done and I don't know what to do with myself. So we focus a lot on how to invite in that element of curiosity, creativity, and play, which can feel very foreign, but is a requirement of any growth program, right? Every like master speaker will say, you need to find time for play. And that can almost feel like a gaslight when you're so busy. And this gives us that space to go, okay, yeah, I had to be bored for a minute.
Yeah.
It's sort of like for those who have children, when you take the device away, it's a little upsetting for a minute. But then all of a sudden they're bringing out the giant Lego kit, or they're into the paints. And as adults, it's exactly the same thing. All of a sudden you go, well, I guess I will take a walk. Well, I guess I will bake something or create something. And that begets this change internally that allows for all this other these other elements in some ways to feel like they're just magnetized to you. Your health becomes better. You're working at it, but it's in flow. It's not in challenge. Your finances correct themselves. Your parenting gets more gentle. Your relationship heals. So it's really this incredible tool that can do so much, but it's that negative space that we don't have. We need it. Most drinkers spend somewhere about 30 hours a week drinking. I surveyed 300 people in my network, and that was for an average drinker. It's about 30 hours. It seems like a lot of time, but if you really look at how much, it's so easy to get to 30 hours. It's so easy. And that's almost a work week. So a way to find space, that's for sure. It'll give you some air.
Wow. Okay. So like if you're drinking on average from the people that you asked is taking up about 30 hours of their week. So that can feel like you gained a ton of time. So I totally see that boredom piece. And then I was like, oh, what if you did that with technology?
Right.
Like, and I'm thinking like doing both at the same time would be completely overwhelming.
Too much.
Too much.
So I will say that is a big mistake for those out there that are like, I want to try this. I'm going to take alcohol away. Something happens because we put alcohol in this huge space. I get it. I had it there too. It seemed like such an extreme thing to do. But I knew at the time, although I don't have any desire to drink again now, at the time when I began this, I knew it was just a temporary break. So I was okay with it. And what happens is we go, I'm going to give up drinking. So I'm also going to not eat sugar. I'm going to put my phone away at 9 o'clock. I'm going to, work out every single day. I'm going to save $200 extra a week, whatever it is. It's like, no, just alcohol. Let alcohol be alcohol for a minute and build a positive relationship to the break. And then you'll take multiple breaks. And then you'll be like me. I'm at a point where like, I recently went on a detox of caffeine. And I haven't had caffeine since May. I don't know that I'll never have it again. I don't need to say that, but I'm like, because I had the space for it, all the other things will come. If you can get a positive relationship to not having the alcohol, to having that skill of taking breaks, then the saving money and the fitness and maybe changing the way you eat, that all comes along too. But I think when we pressure ourselves to do too much at once, and the phone, as far as harm reduction goes, sometimes you got to take that phone a little bit when you're first not drinking. And there's a huge sobriety community on social media. So that's a kind of a good place for those temporary breaks.
So what is it about saying it's going to be a break versus I'm giving it up completely that seems to make it a little bit, like you said, you felt okay with taking a break versus I'm never gonna drink again? What is it about just taking a break?
Well, I think first of all, it's personality. At a long time ago, alcohol wasn't always so omnipresent. That is a new thing. It is ticked up excessively in so many categories of people, and also gone down. Like Gen Z, not big drinkers. Millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, drinkers. That's the culture that we were brought into. But now I went on a little tangent. Oh, saying that it's not forever. So before it was like, okay, if you were going to stop drinking, it's only if you felt you were an alcoholic, if you felt it was life or death, that you have to stop drinking. And the only avenue really was AA or rehab. So that is an avenue that works for people that it fits them. It's not for everyone. And especially though I don't gender my services, I work with men and women, but especially as women, it can be a bit disempowering. So I say that hesitantly because it's very, very, very effective for those who identify with alcoholism. But for those who don't, who just feel that they're not powerless to alcohol, they just keep drinking. It's like another weekend. I said I wasn't going to drink, but here I am. I got a bottle of wine. I'm hanging out with my friends. It's like, why do I keep making this choice again and again? And so for me and others that have had success in the program, it's kind of feels like in the beginning, why would I take this thing away from myself? This is where I have joy. This is my fun. Maybe this is where I have intimacy. If I take this, it just feels like a punishment. It feels so aggressive, and I've never done anything wrong to warrant that. I didn't have an experience where people are giving me an intervention. So I think that it's a gentler approach to allow people to experience it on their own. And then they can go back to their regular life and compare data. A lot of it is like, can we just be rational and look at the data? Let's look at why you are drinking. What do you believe it brings you? What do you think it brings you? And let's test, and when you have an experience with alcohol, does the thing that is your reason to drink actually happen? Or is it a belief that's not true and you can let go of that? So we sort of untangle these beliefs one at a time, and then you find very quickly that it's not just a belief. Sorry, that's holiday. It's not just a belief that you have with alcohol. There's other areas of your life that parallel, other places where this mindset comes in. And so I think it's a way to just ease in for those who aren't quite sure that this sobriety lifestyle is what they want. I think a lot of people think sober people are lying. They're like, I feel great. I'm really happy. They're like, no, you can't be. So yeah, come try and see it. Try it on for size. See how it fits in your life.
Okay.
Go from there.
Yeah, I can see I can see that for myself in different areas of like just taking a break from things, and like, okay, I can view that as a challenge, like a conquerable challenge. Like,
Exactly.
all right, I like a challenge. So
Yeah.
I can see where that would be very appealing for some people. What are some of the mindset pieces that you really have to address in this challenge? Because like you said, like mindset is everything.
It really is. Something that I see almost across the board is that people are drinking for the benefit of other people. And so, yeah, it's like this really flawed mindset of I am here secondary to how I serve others around me. And then on top of that, you're perceiving and assuming what others want from you without actually having any evidence. So it's this whole game. There's this great quote. Let me see if I don't mess it up. I'm not who you think I am. I'm not who I think I am. I'm who I think you think I am. So it's this game we play with drinking. And it's like we get real heavy about that element of how we're supposed to show up for others. At the end of the day, it makes complete sense because since we're a child, we're taught how to show up for other people, our parents, our church, our school, our boss. Again and again, we're given these excellent present, like ever present training grounds to show up for others without really getting the education on how to show up for ourselves. So I think that is probably the biggest mindset shift of actually not feeling bad about prioritizing your needs. Secretly, sometimes in the beginning, I tell people that it's really to serve others better. Like if you have to start there, how It's that put your oxygen mask on before you put your neighbors on. It's the same idea, but it's a big challenge for people. So once they can overcome that using this skill of not drinking, of showing up and not having alcohol and noticing that it wasn't a big deal, it so rarely is.
Mhm.
And then you get confidence, which is just confidence is just a memory of success you've already had. So then you feel like, wait a minute, it is okay. It's safe for me to put myself first. I'm not selfish. I don't have to over explain.
Mhm.
I am putting myself first to be functional for everybody, to be a part of the community, to not resent, right? That's
Mhm.
another mindset thing. We don't do for ourselves and then we brood and resent. And that's such an energy waste. And then we're not going to work out because we're mad at something because we did something for someone thinking there'd be an exchange that wasn't. And then we kind of wreck our day over it. And we lose our momentum on our goals. So it's an incredible cycle that is so fascinating to dig in for yourself and unravel. And I mean, I call it fun. I think it is fun. And I try to keep that approach with it. Like it's curiosity, it's data, it's interesting. Let's just see what's going on.
Uh, and so you've mentioned a little bit about the nervous system too. Where does that come into play in all of this? Because I mean, we know that the nervous system is affected by alcohol, and
Yes.
so how does this play out?
Um, okay. So, well, from a physiologic perspective, alcohol impacts every organ, and it impacts our gut, our second brain. It impacts our microbiome, heavily impacts our
Mhm.
microbiome. And so, yeah, you're going to be responding differently when your gut is full of yeast versus when your gut is full of quality bacteria. You're just going to feel things differently. But even deeper than that, if we think about the vagus nerve, if you know about the wandering nerve, the vagus nerve, which is deeply connected with your gut, it's sort of like the thing that's between stimulus and response. And so when you're used to drinking, the stimulus is, I'm bored, I want to relax, I'm nervous, I don't know what to do right now. And you just go immediately, go get a drink. That's what to do.
Mhm.
Just go get a drink. And what we work on through meditation and breath work, both hugely supportive of nervous system regulation, so we work on creating space between the thought, even identifying there's a thought before you have the urge. That's step one, even identifying that you had a thought before you had the feeling that you wanted to drink, and then creating space to be rational between those 2 points. You don't have to run and solve this problem.
Mhm.
The nervous system responses physiologically will last 90 seconds. So if you think about a red face
Mhm.
or like a pit in your stomach, or if your hair stands on end, those are 90-second responses. So that's your body's message. But after that, we start a story. We attach to something. There's a whole mood that's created. And in our case, in DryNamics, that might end with the decision to have alcohol. But if we can learn to allow the nervous system's message to just come through and not feel like we have to attend to it, just wait,
Mhm.
then we get to make a different decision. And that, again, the confidence that you get from those moments of like, yeah, I wanted it really bad. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, I guess I didn't. I didn't have it. It went away. Where else can that help me in my life?
Huh.
Yeah.
As you're talking about that, I was like, I can see that totally relating to like food and like cravings and nutrition and all of that, of
Mhm.
like the noticing and letting it
Uh-huh.
just kind of pass and not attaching the story, like you said, putting a story to it. So this goes beyond just a sobriety challenge. This
Right.
has applications much farther beyond that, after or even during, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you're turning the lights on because we're in a culture that is very fast, and we're told and conditioned to respond, and that mindfulness piece is just not taught or encouraged. And so we're consuming in all these ways, and they're fine for the most part. I mean, I was drinking whatever amount I wanted to until all of a sudden it started to not be as fun, and my hangovers lasted longer, and I had different responsibilities and it was interfering, and it was like, well, now it's not working. Same thing with a person who's maybe used to being completely mindless of how they consume, how they eat, how they shop, any of these things, how they date, how they parent, right? If we're always reacting to stimulus and we don't have the ability to sense, just to notice there's a message coming through, we're going to be in a compulsive state of being. And I find that alcohol, so I get into a lot of mind body stuff as well. And so we have our throat chakra. This is a little on the woo woo side. Okay. I'm very sciencey, but I do like my woo a little bit. So we have our throat chakra here. And I have found in my groups that so often people get urgy when they're in a situation with a person or in a relationship or a thought pattern that is really harmful to them, but they're not feeling brave enough to speak on it or change it. So what we do is we stuff that chakra. We eat something, we guzzle something, we quiet that down. It's like itching. And so I find that when I go behind, when people say, I had a drink, I don't know why, I just wanted it. And we dig into it a little more and find out the backstory is like, wow, you don't feel like you have a right to your feelings, to existing in a way that's authentic. And so again, with those confidence boosts of standing up to alcohol first, just by yourself on a Tuesday night, you don't pour your 6 p.m. glass, and then maybe culminating to a sober wedding. Is that possible? Yes. Many times I've had people come back and say, wow, that was actually really fun. It's an event that's designed for fun. You don't actually need alcohol, but it seems crazy at first. So you have these confidence building moments so that in the time that you are feeling your mother-in-law say something really that's just getting you in a bad way, you have the nervous system piece to actually speak in a clear, effective way and stand up for yourself, and also reduce your urges for the next, day, couple days, because you didn't stuff your authentic self. You were able to express. Mind body is big. That's your nervous system. And the way we relate to each other, the nervous system is relational. So when we relate in a way that is not in flow and not fair to ourselves, the nervous system gets chatty. It's like, hey, what about me?
Yeah.
And it's the signals.
Wow. So I'm just seeing how, like, your clients, like, when they go in, they probably aren't seeing, they see that I'm doing a sobriety challenge, but on the other end of it, they must just see this whole world that kind of opens up for them from this one challenge that they started.
Yeah, it's like funny to market, because it's like, it's a drinking challenge, and people are like, people like challenges, and they get into it. And it's like, just like how you're expressing right now, like, wow, this is a lot. This is bigger than what I was thinking. It's not just about like, try watercoloring when you have an urge, which is helpful, but it's not just tips and tricks to get through urges. It's like, let's change your physical, mental relationships so that you have less urges. So you're existing in an easier way using this one habit as a tool.
Yeah. So what do you recommend, or do you have some suggestions for people who aren't drinkers, but want something like this, that are listening to this and are like, okay, I don't drink, but like, I can use that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my background is in fitness. I'm a Pilates teacher, as you mentioned. And so I do work with individuals in small groups, using Pilates and body as the tool as well. So we're like in movement, and you see the habits of the body in some simple somatic movements. And it's kind of one of those things where you don't realize that pressing into your big toe is going to make you wake up the next day with sore inner thighs. And you're like, when did we even do that work? And so it's interesting. So, working with me individually in a non-drinking way, yes, there are options to do that. But as a person walking around in real life, I think it's really valuable just to notice when you're having urges. So there's a lot of urges. Like sometimes we have the urge to yell at somebody. All right. Like maybe you don't drink, but maybe you're really explosive when you get somebody hits your stuff. Okay. Maybe you have to fight. I need to defend myself. So I've done challenges within like my personal group, like where it's like, okay, I know you're really mad at your husband. It seems like you might be a little addicted to being mad at your husband almost, right? Like your brain is now in like a pattern searching like mode, and it gets a dopamine hit every time. It's like, look, he did it again. Look, he did it again. And so we get stuck in victim mentality in a lot of ways. And so it's like, you could do something like, I am not going to say anything badly to my friends about my husband for 1 week. That could be really hard, right? Like, where are your personal like vortexes of where you start to spiral? So there's a trigger. Maybe it's not a drinking urge. Maybe it's mess in your house. Maybe if there's mess in your house, you start to go into the vortex, and that might culminate in you being combative with somebody, or just feeling so hard done by, feeling like life is so hard. So just watch and see where are my triggers? Where do I get overwhelmed, and where do I want to react? Whether verbally, whether by eating, by buying. Shopping is a really good thing to look at. Do you have to buy something every time you go to a store? Is it possible to notice that deep desire and just see what happens when you don't? So there's a lot of ways we can stand up to it, and just to feel that experience of like, oh, okay, so when I want this, like my skin feels white, or I get really tight hands. Like people have all different experiences with urges physically. Laying on the horn, what if you just didn't? What if you were like, long breath in, long breath out. We use a lot of breath work. It's there's a reason why everyone smoked for so long, and it's not just the nicotine. that's good breath work.
Yeah,
It really is.
Wow, that I love that, of like looking at your personal spirals and triggers, and choosing. Oh, we do. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm a fan of breath work. I love what it does just for self-regulation and all of that. And I think we each could look at some of our own, just kind of take a look of like, it's not just alcohol. We all have urges, and whether it's food, like you said, shopping is a huge one. Hitting the horn. I remember hearing
Grabbing the phone for every minute. Like, what if you put your phone down for a whole day in the kitchen, and you only picked it up if you were like calling somebody, or like, arranging an Uber, but you left it. You didn't go to it. 1 day a week.
Yeah.
That's one we could all do.
Yeah, that's well, I was gonna say that's an easy one.
Not an easy, but accessible. It's an accessible challenge.
Yeah, it's an accessible challenge. It definitely would be a challenge. I heard about this guy. I was listening to him on a podcast or radio or something, and he said, I think for a year maybe, he decided he would not pass anyone on the highway, like at all. He chose the longest line in stores because he realized he was just becoming so impatient and like
I love
aggressive.
that.
And so he's like, all right, I'm not going to pass anybody. I'm going to pick the longest line in the store. And just the change that brought for him, of like that patience and just taking a slower approach to life. I was like,
I will say patience is one that I identified when I stopped drinking, about my urgency. And I started like, anytime there was an opportunity to like wish on a birthday candle or anything like that, I would be like, patience, give me more patience. And I even found a 4-leaf clover once. I'd never found one. I was with a bunch of kids, and I was like, oh my God, they're like, make a wish. And I was like, I wish for more patience. And my niece goes, oh, what a waste. But truly, and I feel like I've gained it, and certainly taking those spaces, like being okay with just sitting there, like when I first stopped drinking and I didn't know what to do with myself, I would just sit there. And then as I got more into meditation, I'm like, I was meditating. Like sitting, just being still is meditation. Like that counts as far as what you're trying to achieve cognitively and spiritually. Just, you don't have to be so fancy about it. You're just sitting there still.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that because I mean, I spend a lot of time sitting because I work from home. So like a couple things I've tried to do for myself is when I eat lunch, we've had a very rainy summer, so it's been a little bit of a challenge. I grab my lunch and I try to walk outside for a little bit with my lunch while I eat to
Perfect.
just be outside in nature, And then the other one is like if I'm just grabbing a snack rather than like doing something else while I eat, I really have been trying to just when I eat, focus on eating and just
That is really hard.
I'll stand in the kitchen so I'm not sitting, but just stand there, lean against the counter and just eat and just be. Like you said, like it's kind of meditative.
It is.
Just be.
Yeah, we have a nutritionist in our programs, and she says you should chew like 30, 40 times before swallowing. And I don't know. I grew up in if you snooze, you lose. So, and also then I worked in restaurants and it was like, there's a steak, get it down your hatch.
Yeah.
And so if somebody eats faster than me, I'm like, there's a problem here. Like this is not safe, however you're eating. But that's like on my list of things to try to tackle. Like, can you like set an intention to do it for every meal for whatever 2 weeks and see if you can bring that into your life? Because I'm guilty of that eating on the run thing and just shoving it down.
Yeah, my background is education, so lunch is eaten like in 20 minutes while meeting with kids, going to the bathroom, making coffees, and so you inhale your food. So to actually sit down and taste it and eat it, I'm like, I have to make myself. Yeah.
But it's all trainable, right? Like it's all doable, and we just get these opportunities. To me, it is a form of resistance to some of the things that make me sad about our world. It's like, no, I refuse now at this point in my sobriety. It's like, I do know that I would drink those random times because I wanted to show up a certain way for other people. And even with caffeine, I'm like, I refuse to take something to alter myself to fit into something that I don't want really to work out. I don't think it is working out. So we all need to take little stands where we can, whether that be having a nap, chewing your food, or not drinking. You find your ways to say, I'm not playing this game. I see the game, but I'm not doing it. I'm going to prioritize this human body that I get to spend the rest of my life with.
Yeah, I love that. And I also, as we kind of wrap up, just want to hit the point you brought it up is it's one thing at a time.
Yes.
It's like, it's got to be one thing. Like we can't do it all at once. So like, we really have to pick what that one thing is that we want to work on and focus on and take the stand.
Yeah. And have faith that that one thing, if you can master it, they say 10,000 hours is mastery, right? Is that what they say?
Yeah.
In a 24-hour day, that's 416 days, right? So if you're trying to master alcohol, give yourself 416 days before you say, now I want to take sugar. Now I want to take my spending, or master shopping for 416 days or whatever it is. Give yourself real time. You have time on this earth. And what happens is we go so hard, and most of us can go about 2 weeks, maybe a month. And then the rebound is harsher. And we think, this is too hard. I've had another failure. And it's just doesn't build that confidence that we need to keep improving. It never ends. And yeah, small steps, baby steps, tiny, lowest hanging fruit first.
Yeah. That's what I always encourage my clients, like tiny, like let's just let's be successful in something really small and get those dopamine hits.
You're just walking. As I say, like just walking You don't have to run anywhere. Just keep walking at your leisurely pace, chewing your food, looking around, and
Yeah.
you'll get there.
Yeah. Now I understand you have a free gift for our audience. So can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that?
Yes. Well, I teach breathwork classes, and we have groups that meet live. And I would love to invite you to attend one of our live classes. Those classes are typically only for members who are in DryNamics or my fitness programs, but I'd love to open it up to this group. So please reach out to me. We're switching our booking system, so you're going to have to just email me in this moment, and I'll send you the next steps from there. My email is katie@deeplinehealth.com. And I believe, Naomi, you'll put that in the
Mhm.
notes somewhere.
Yes. Yep. It'll be in the email and it'll be in the notes as well.
Yeah. And feel free to reach out to me just if you have questions about anything I talked about. I'm such a passionate nerd about it and would be happy to answer anything if you'd like to talk more.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you for joining us and
You're welcome.
talking
Thank
about
you.
the DryNamics challenge and kind of how that affects our whole lives. So I also want to thank our audience for joining us. And please reach out to Katie. Her email is in the notes. It's in the email you received. And take her up on that offer of a breathwork class. I can tell you, breathwork, if you have never done it, is really pretty amazing. I use it pretty regularly for my own stress management. So please reach out to her, set up a session with her, and learn a little bit about breath work and any questions you have for her. As she said, she's willing to talk to you and answer your questions. So thank you, Katie.
Thank you so much, Naomi.
You're welcome. And thank you to your cat. Your cat is like the
I know. I'm like, can we have a special note for this cat? She's like, what a good look.
right? And what's her name?
Holiday.
Holiday. Well, we'll have to put Katie and Holiday.
Yeah, she's very present in all of my offerings. So
That's fantastic. My dog is on the other side of the screen. So
I don't know. She like loves it. As soon as I get on the floor, she's right over here. Anytime I'm filming, I'm like, okay.
that's awesome. She's part of your programs. Well, thank you very much. And thank you to our audience. Everybody have a fantastic day.
Thank you.